G'day everyone, and welcome to this short video about planning. So in this topic area, what we're going to do is just provide a bit of an introduction or an overview of the role and importance of planning in the entrepreneurship process. Now, later in the Master of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, we'll go on and do a whole unit dedicated to the process of business planning. So really all we're doing here is just introducing the concept to begin with and talking a little bit about why planning might be important. Now, planning has a bit of a checkered history. The concept of planning in business practice, and certainly as a core part of business curriculums, has really only been around for sort of the last 50 to 100 years. What we've seen is that as businesses have grown in their scale and their operating presence, that it's become more and more necessary for organisations to have a systematic way of identifying what they're trying to do in the future and trying to identify the resources they need to apply to those future opportunities or those future objectives that they're trying to pursue. And so planning, which sort of comes from the military sphere of life, has become a very important part of all types of businesses, and that's certainly true in the startup process. What we often see is that many people seeking to start a business will put together a business plan, and that business plan plays a really critical role in helping to communicate with key stakeholders about the nature of the startup business you're proposing. So in that business plan, you might talk about the type of value that you're going to create for customers, the products you're actually going to offer, the price points you'll try and sell that product at, the resources that you can actually bring to bear at taking advantage of that opportunity. Now, there's no doubt that plans are used and plans are important, but some would actually argue that planning, particularly in the context of entrepreneurship, may be a little bit irrelevant, that too much emphasis goes into the plan itself and to spending time writing the document, and that not enough time is actually given to thinking about what planning is all about, or thinking about broadly what is it we're trying to achieve as an organisation. And so there's a bit of a tension in the entrepreneurship literature about the role and exact purpose of planning from a business perspective. Again, when we go on and look at planning later in this course, we are going to talk in more detail about some of those issues. So really all I want to do for you here is just flag that there are some concerns about the value and importance of planning in business and particularly in entrepreneurship and startup. But what we're going to do in this unit, in this class specifically, is accept that planning is something that entrepreneurs use and look at some of the different approaches or some of the different ways that we might put together a plan. So to help you in that process, what I've done is I've put again into Milo for you a series of learning resources. So a combination of readings and videos from a number of different sources that look at planning in general and why planning is important, that look at business plans and the structure and content of what we might have in a business plan, and then also start to touch on some of these issues around whether planning actually is important. And certainly there's an interesting podcast that comes from the Harvard School and was actually done by a visiting scholar who was there a couple of years ago, questioning whether planning is actually a good part of business activity. So I'd encourage you to have a look at all those resources and see how they help you understand the process of planning.